Something about Republican Senator Ted Cruz is scaring the mainstream national liberal media, like the Washington Post. According to Breitbart.com, the Post has featured 12 birther stories on the Canadian-born senator in just 2 days. Among the stories, one reading, quote, "No, Ted Cruz birthers are not the same as Obama birthers." Interestingly, the Washington Post didn't have a single Obama birther story before he announced his candidacy for president. And for all of 2008, the Post had just 8 items that mentioned either Obama's birth certificate or questions over his citizenship. Joining us now, the A-Team. Fortune magazine Washington columnist, Fox News political analyst Nina Easton, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Good of you both to be here. Let's start with the Washington Post. Why all of these stories about the birth certificate for a fellow who hasn't even announced a candidacy? Nina?
Well, first of all, I want to say it's great to be here on the Brad and Nina show, Lou.
Well, you're welcome.
I have to say, look, the Washington Post, they have a history of biased coverage, particularly biased political coverage. Their ombudsman last year wrote about the bias towards Democrats and against Republicans. I have to say in this case, I think it's more of a case of just getting overheated about 2016 and, Ted Cruz wanting to make clear his immigration status, his citizenship status. Everybody's trying to read the tea leaves
so you see no
if he's
problem
going to
with
run
it.
for
You see no
president.
problem with the Washington Post running 12 stories on a guy who's not running for president.
I think they want to know if he's running for president, and that's a way to get at it, because he's going to be a big force in the party if he does run.
Well, he's going to probably, in my opinion, be a big force in the party, whether he does or he doesn't. What do you think, Brad?
I think this is getting even. There's nothing more that the Post wanted than a story that was handed to them. And basically, Lou, I have to say that this is a self-inflicted wound by Ted Cruz. When Cruz decided he was going to enter public life, he should have gotten this way out of the way back in his primary. Got it out. Only he knows what he is and why he retained his Canadian citizenship, but it's not as easy as we found out just to renounce it. There's a process by which you have to renounce it. So he's really feeding the media a story that should have never been a story at all, and the Washington Post is just capitalizing on it.
Well, don't you think it's interesting, the two of you, how different the national media is reacting here? You're talking about it being a self-inflicted wound. How many people were talking about it being a self-inflicted wound for over 2 years by this president after he was president not to produce his birth certificate?
Yeah, but
he
Lou,
could have dismissed it. He could have dismissed it out of hand. Why weren't people saying you knew you were running for president? Why didn't you produce it before you
because it's a huge double standard.
I'm sorry.
It's a double standard. We know it's a double standard by the liberal media, and that's why we should be better than them, and not give them the opportunity to do the kind of stories that the Washington Post has done.
Let me jump in here. I think there's no evidence on the Barack Obama case that he was born in Africa, as some people still believe and still assert, rather than being born in Hawaii. I mean, the birther movement was, I think, lost credibility pretty quickly on. This president was clearly an American
You're missing the point.
citizen.
I haven't been clear. Let me straighten that out. I think that Obama was brilliant in what he did, and that it focused so much attention on him. By the way, I was one of those people who asked the question. My only question in the whole affair was, I asked, why in the world isn't the president just producing his birth certificate and shutting all of this nonsense down?
That's right.
I was attacked by legions of lefties in the national media and everywhere else, and they called me a birther because I asked a simple question. I think personally Ted Cruz is being brilliant. This is bringing him lots of airtime and a lot of focus. You disagree, Nina?
Well, I think as Brad said, he has to get this issue out of the way, and there are questions as to why he didn't do it previously. But he's got
what
to
if he
clear
just
the
waits
road
2 years
for
into his presidency?
I'm sorry?
What if he just waits 2 years into his presidency? He's got a template established by Obama.
Yeah. I think he wants to clear the way for a presidential run. I think that's what we're seeing right now.